Hello YouTubers, I'm doing this video because I see a lot of questions from newbies to the cassette world on the cassette forums. So I figured I'd take advantage of this old tape deck that I just repaired. Now this thing's in pretty rough cosmetic shape, but it works. So I can explain some of the features, and hopefully some of you guys that are getting new into the cassette world can make use of this video and the information on it. Now, this is your standard home tape deck, except that this is what is referred to as a three-head machine. Now, I'll get there, but let me cover some of the basic features. First of all, eject. Opens it up. Now, normally there's a door on here, and the way you take the door off is you open and you pluck the door up. And the reason you do that is so you can get into this area over here to clean things. That would be what is called the heads on the machine. So on a cassette deck, you have tape decks that only play one side of the tape at a time, and you got tape decks that play both sides. The ones that play both sides say auto reverse. This is not an auto reverse tape deck. This one plays the tape that way, which is the direction they all do. Now in here you have the heads, and there you have the erase head, and there you have the record playback head. Now this is what is called a three-head machine. So that's erase, and that is record and playback. There's actually two heads in one shell. Most machines that record, that are entry-level machines, will have a combination record playback head. Now here it says record and playback, but there's physically two separate heads in that one shell. You can also have it where there's only one head in the shell. And then over here you have a little rubber wheel, which is called the pinch roller, and you have this metal shaft that is called the capstan. First thing you should do whenever you get a used tape deck is clean this whole area. This is called part of the transport. Take a Q-tip and head cleaning fluid or denatured alcohol, and you want to clean the surfaces that the tape rubs up against, because you get a collection of oxide on there, and that affects the sound quality, and it also makes the tape stick. So you clean those off until you're not getting any more of the brown gook on the Q-tips. Clean both of the heads, and this metal shaft that's spinning here, you want to clean that off, and the roller. And the way you clean the roller is you wipe a little bit off with the Q-tip with denatured alcohol or what have you, or head cleaner. Move it, clean a little bit more, move it, clean a little bit more. You want to make sure the whole thing is cleaned off. So this is what is referred to as the transport. These right here that pull the tape along, these are called the hubs. And those are the ones that spin on fast forward and rewind. I'm hitting the buttons and nothing's happening. It's got a lockout feature, which I'm going to pop a tape in here and show you in a second how that works. So, eject, slide a tape in. Remember, plays that way. And there's fast forward, and you see the hubs are moving. There's play, and you see what direction the tape is turning in. If you have a machine that eats tapes, generally it's caused by this guy right here, stops turning. So the machine keeps pulling the tape and winds it up in this area because this part is not turning and taking up the slack tape. And you'll end up with a big mess of tape right in here. Those problems are typically caused by bad belts. If you change the belts out on the machine, it should remedy that situation and also clean the transport. Now over here, the headphone out. Some machines have the ability to adjust the volume out on the headphones, some don't. There is a general consensus that the headphone out on cassette decks sounds like garbage. Now let's move on to the controls over here. Now this is a three-head machine. This is not a standard two-head. So there's some controls that you're going to see on this machine you don't see on others. One of them is this bias adjust, and another one is over here where it says monitor. What this allows me to do, see right now I'm playing my MP3 player to it, and there is some audio there. So there's some audio there being fed into the machine. And notice it has a little picture that says when the button is out, it's source. So what I'm feeding into the machine is being reflected on the meters. When I push it in, it shows me what's actually being put on the tape. That's one of the cool things about a three-headed machine. It lets you, there I'm recording right now, and I can see the audio coming in, and I could also monitor the audio that's on the tape as it's being created. So that's what's cool about a three-head machine. And that's where this button over here that says bias adjust comes into play. Not all of them have it, but this allows me to match the electronics of the machine to the chemistry of the tape. So when you mess around with this bias adjustment and you pop this button in and out, your goal is to try to make it sound as much as possible as what's being run into the machine. Now these lights. Tapes are rated to record what would be called flat audio. In other words, a true representation of the original audio at 0. Can they handle more? Yes. But depending on the chemistry of the tape, a regular type 1 doesn't like going peaking at 3 much. It wants to be in that 0 to 3 range. Chrome tapes can easily take being pushed to 3 dB. Metal type 4 can take peaks of 0.5, maybe even higher. When you're doing just regular type 1, you want to stick in that 0.1, 0.2 range, barely ever flickering a 3. Now what happens if you drive a tape too hard? First of all, you get distortion. Second of all, as you drive it too hard, you start to sacrifice some of the high end. So that's why you want to opt for a slightly lower record level. Now something else that's staring at us in the face, this peak hold button. This is pretty cool for setting record levels. What this does is it leaves a little marker there, and wherever the sound is peaking at, it leaves the little marker. Now if you cycle it, it zeroes it back out and you start the process. This is kind of handy for adjusting record levels. So right now this is too hot. I would probably back it down a little bit. And you want to adjust, I had it wrong here, you want to adjust on source, and the reason why you're adjusting on source, even though watch what's going to happen when I switch to tape, the levels will be lower. There's always going to be a little trade-off. You're going to hit the tape with a certain level, and what you're going to get back is slightly lower. But you never want to hit the tape with too hot a level because you're going to distort on recording. So what I'm shooting for, mind you, this is on a 3-head deck. You can't do this on a 2-head machine. I'm able to switch between the actual tape recording and what I'm putting into it. If you have a regular 2-head machine, you don't have this button. So you still want to watch your meters. Put your machine on record, make a test recording with the song you want to record, and make sure that this isn't going into the 3 range if you're using basic type 1 tape. Let's go back over here. The counter. What does it mean? Absolutely nothing. This is not calibrated to anything. This is just a guide. Think of it like somebody tells you, oh, go 10 footsteps and turn a right. Well, your 10 footsteps may not be my 10 footsteps. So this is a rough guide so you can tell somebody when you record a tape, oh, if you jump to 227, it's the start of the next song. Well, I know I'm going to be in the ballpark of 227, but it's never going to be exact. And you could zero that counter out by pushing the button. These buttons, standard, setup, play, record, fast forward, blah, blah, blah. Down here, though, is some features you don't find on every deck. Some have it, some don't. auto memory rewind. What this does is, let's say I want to come back to that 0 point on the tape after I'm done playing it. I could go and sit there and let it play, hit stop, hit rewind, and the machine's going to rewind. And when it gets to 0 here, it's going to automatically stop. That's what it does. This one takes it a little bit further. This one lets you select between stop or automatically going to play. This other feature, this is another feature that's common on some of the better cassette decks, the timer. So what you do is you put the machine in the mode that you want it to. So right now it's playing. Okay, that's fine. If this was a mechanical type of tape deck where you have the levers that you push down, you put it on play, you put it on timer, and what would happen is when the power gets switched on, it automatically goes into play or it automatically goes into record. This machine's a little fancier. All I have to do is put the switch on where I want, and what you would actually do is plug the deck into one of those old school appliance timers, and when that thing turned on, like people used to use to turn on a lamp or whatever, if you had this set up to, let's say, record, the machine would turn on and start recording. That's how you would record, let's say, a radio show while you weren't home. That's how you would do it back in the day. Or if you just wanted to play through, it'll play through. That's what that's about. Let's go back into record. And by the way, a lot of machines, you see how I hit record, but it isn't moving. Record, play. And then it starts moving. Now let's continue on down. Some have these levers here for Dolby and tape type. Normal is type 1, CR02 is Chrome, metal is type 4. You use this so the machine can calibrate when recording to the correct tape chemistry. It's very important that you put it at the right setting. Some machines have this fully automatic and you don't have to do it. It'll say auto tape select. On the ones that actually have a flip lever, you have to set this correctly, because let's say right now I'm on normal, and let's say I put in a CR02, which is Chrome, or a metal tape. I'm going to end up with a crappy recording, or a recording that the old stuff isn't completely erased. So it's important that you select the right chemistry for the tape you're using. Dolby. Dolby noise reduction. In or out. Out means off. In means on. That's all. Now you have Dolby B and you have Dolby C. Dolby B is the first form of noise reduction that was used on cassette decks. And then you had Dolby C. You had another one that was called DBX, but this machine doesn't have that. Dolby B, what it does is it accentuates the highs a little bit. It expands the audio. And then when you play back, it compresses the audio down and it lowers the noise floor. Some people like to record with a Dolby on and play back with a Dolby off because it has a little bit more highs. It's a hack. It's not audiophile accurate, but whatever. If it sounds good to you, it's your machine. You enjoy your tapes however you want. The microphone jacks. No, you cannot plug your MP3 player into this. This is for low-level audio. What comes out of a microphone is very low-level audio. You cannot plug your MP3 player here. You plug your MP3 player on the connections in the back of the machine that say line in. So you would take your player with a cable that has a pair of RCA jacks and plug it into the back and turn the volume up on your player like 90% of the way, and then you could feed it like what I'm doing here right now. Output. This controls the output volume. Not all cassette decks have it. Record level. What this does is it adjusts the sensitivity of the machine to what's being played. So remember, when you're setting your record levels, first make a test recording. Just throw the tape in there, put the thing into record. If it's a 3-head, put it on source and adjust your levels so you're barely peaking 3. You want to just be teasing the 3. if you're recording with Type 1. Type 1 would be like TDK-D, Sony HF series. That would be a Type 1. This is garbage. Don't ever use these Scotch tapes. They're freaking garbage. This is a Type 1 also, Maxell UR. These are pretty decent. If that's what you're using, make sure to be set up to normal. And you want to just be teasing the 3, and you're going to end up with some really good sounding recordings. I hope that's helped you guys. If it has, let me know, and I'll be doing more videos about this old technology, which apparently has seen a resurgence. It's kind of cool that people are messing around with these machines once again.